Hi, everybody is seeing my, are you sharing my screen? You're getting my screen? Hello?
Yes.
We are getting your screen.
Yeah. No. Now let us deal with, today we are going to deal with the virtualization concepts and all those things. And the main agenda for the today's session, today we are going to deal with why and what is virtualization and types of virtualization and what makes virtualization so appealing and which form of virtualization is right for you and how server virtualization helps us. Now, basically now let us define what is actually virtualization. What does mean by virtualization? So basically, virtualization in computing terminology basically we refer to its act of creating a virtual version of something. Nothing but where you are going to create the virtual version of a computer hardware platform or an operating system or on a storage device or computer network resources. Simply saying, it's nothing but it's like a stimulator of the complete environment, the stimulator of the complete infrastructure. And in other words, we can also define it as where the process which allows multiple operating systems to run concurrently on a single computer. For example, earlier days, if at all we want to have multiple operating systems, we are using the concept of dual boot. We are using the concept of dual boot, where, for example, we have one single PC, let us say, and we have loaded Windows and Linux operating system, and whenever we have to boot, whenever we are going to boot, we are going to select an operating system, and that particular operating system is going to load. And if at all you want to have another operating system, we should have to turn off the first operating system, again we have to reboot it, and again we have to select the other operating system. So there is no chance of running concurrently both the operating systems. Whereas in case of virtualization technologies, where we can concurrently run multiple operating system instances on a single computer. So that is the most important advantages of virtualization technologies. And in other words, we can also define it as where it separates your operating system from the underlying hardware. The virtualization is an hypervisor or a layer which is going to separate, this is a layer, hypervisor is a layer which is going to separate your operating systems from the underlying hardware. It is going to completely separate it from operating systems from the hardware. So that means the definition of your virtualization. So basically, coming to the market scenario, both these terms, virtualization and cloud computing, they refers to same. A lot of people think that virtualization and cloud computing both are similar. But there is a lot of difference between them. Virtualization and cloud computing are basically, they are totally different. Virtualization is only a component of a cloud computing. And whereas a cloud computing is very much larger than virtualization. In virtualization, you are separating your operating system from the underlying hardware. Whereas if you go for the cloud computing, you are separating your application from the underlying hardware. So but that's a major difference, and virtualization is only one of the a component of cloud computing. And some of the main benefits of cloud computing are where you separate your all operating system from the hardware. So you are going to load multiple instances of operating system on a single server. On a single server, you can have multiple operating systems where you can load Windows, Linux, Unix, Solaris, lot of operating systems you can multiply load on a single PC, and where you can have a consolidation of multiple servers on a single server. In virtualization, basically we use three key processes. It actually basically implements three key processes for the virtualization. The first process, that is encapsulation, where it involves that it turns a VM into a set of software files. Whatever the VMs are present there, it is going to turn into set of software files, so that these software files you can easily copy, backup, and move around your virtual infrastructure. And this helps us for server provisioning and migration, and as well as backup and recovery. And the second step, that is isolation, where on the virtual infrastructure you can hide each of this VM running on the same physical hardware. You can hide them each from each other and making independent each other. That is the process of isolation. And coming to the third key process, that is partitioning, where we are going to divide our physical resources of the server among the virtual machines based on the business needs. On the physical server, we have a lot of resources, but based on our business needs, based on our requirements, we are going to divide on among several virtual machines. So these are the basic three key processes of virtualization: encapsulation, isolation, and partitioning. Coming to the point of different approaches of virtualization, we have basically two approaches of virtualization. We can implement our virtualization technologies in two methods. The first method, that is, we call it as, it's a host-based approach. You can also call it as, it's a type 2 model or a host model. And the second one, that is a dedicated approach. It's a type 1, and what we call it's a bare metal model. These are the two different types of approaches of virtualization. And in case of hosted approach, you have the physical PC. You have the physical PC. That is the hardware. On the physical hardware PC, you are going to load the operating system, host operating system. On the host operating system, you are going to load your hypervisor software. On that, you are going to load the instance of your guest virtual machines or guest operating systems. And in case of bare metal architecture, you have your physical hardware. On the physical hardware, you have you are going to load your hypervisor software. On the hypervisor software, you are going to load your operating systems. So that is a hosted architecture, and this is what a base metal architecture. Whether you implement bare metal or hosted approach, here hardware is virtualized for the guest. For every guest machine, hardware is in the virtualized environment. And organizations like VMware does not approve for the term emulate. They don't mind that we don't use the term emulate. They prefer to say virtualize, because emulator, it may refers to for software emulation or an application emulation or a OS emulation. So the VMware organization, they prefer to say what virtualization. That is, the virtualize everything. That is, either it may be hardware or software. They can virtualize hard disk, they can virtualize network, they can virtualize processes, they can virtualize memory, and coming to the part of the software, they can virtualize all the applications. So they prefer to the word to use virtualize, better to not use the word emulate. Right. Coming to the comparison of management layer approach, that is a host-based approach, and the second one, that is the bare metal dedicated approach. In case of the first one, that is management layer and the host-based approach, you have the physical hardware, physical system. On that physical system, we are going to load host operating system. On that host operating system, we are going to load our virtualization software. On that virtualization software, we are going to load the instance of all the virtual machines. And in this case, in the host-based approach, the virtualization software doesn't directly interact with the hardware. It makes sense use of host operating system to interact with the hardware. And if something goes with the host operating system, the instances of the VMs will not work. And in case of this management layer and the host-based approach, we use softwares such as Microsoft Virtual PC and VMware Workstation. These are some softwares where we use in host-based approaches. And the second one, that is a dedicated approach. In the case of a dedicated approach, you have your physical PC, physical hardware. On the physical hardware, directly you are going to load your virtualization software. On that virtualization software, you are going to load your instance of your just virtual machines. And in this case, the virtualization software, it directly interacts with the physical hardware. And it takes off everything, directly it has a communication with the hardware. And some of the best examples for the dedicated approach of virtualization is, like we are going to use VMware ESX or ESXi, and Microsoft Hyper-V and Citrix Zen. This is coming to the point of a dedicated approach. So that's the difference between the host-based approach and the dedicated approach. Why virtualization is needed actually? Why the virtualization technologies we are going to implement? What are the advantages? Why we prefer to virtualize the environment? The first basic consideration is compression. Here in compression, where in your infrastructure, in a data center, we have a lot of physical servers, we have a lot of machines running over there, and we are bringing those lot of physical servers on the single server, on a single or a few more virtual servers. That makes what compression. And due to this, you need to have only very less space in your environment and very less power consumption, and the less cooling is needed. So due to basically these advantages, we do prefer the virtualization technologies. And when you have a very less server refresh costs, that is, for example, if you go for a Windows environment, if you go for a Windows Standard Edition, if you make a license for the Standard Edition, that is, it comes with 1:1. That is, where you can load one physical machine and you can have one virtual machine. And whereas if you go for a one Enterprise Edition, it comes with 1:4, that is you can have one physical machine and 4 VMs. And whereas if you go for a data center edition, you can have one physical machine and unlimited number of VMs. And here updation, maintenance, everything will be very quite easy if it is virtualized. And in the virtualization environment, you have a reduce of your hardware costs. The budget of the company will be very low when compared to normal environment. And also not only the hardware costs, the virtualization, it also reduces the management costs and it simplifies maintenance. It gives us the simplified maintenance of the environment. And you can have a better management, and you can have a secure console distribution. You have some console management software like a vSphere client. Using this console management software, you are going to manage the complete environment, complete infrastructure of your environment. Not only that, the virtualization it also provides disaster recovery solutions. When something goes wrong, how to put it back right again very fastly without any downtime, making availability at all the time. So that is provided by virtualization. So basically virtualization, these are the main important considerations why we prefer virtualization. That is compression, server refresh costs, reduced hardware costs, reduced management costs, better management, and secure console distribution, and disaster recovery solutions. Now let us consider a simple example. Let us say we have a small data center with 20 servers. So these all servers, if at all you are using the virtualization technology, you can consolidate all these servers. You can consolidate all these servers onto a single server using this virtualization technology, so that we can have a lot of resources utilization. The resources will not be wasted. We can utilize the resources. You can utilize the resources maximum extent. There is no wastage of resources, and even in that environment we use less network switches, we have less servers, less power consumption, less cooling, less space, less management is needed, and less updates is needed, and a lot of more benefits are there. Coming to the point of implementation of this virtualization, generally the virtualization beginners, basically they prefer these softwares like Microsoft Virtual PC and VMware Workstation, the beginners in the virtualization. Whereas the virtualization experts or enterprise virtualization, they're going to use softwares like VMware ESX, Hyper-V, Citrix, Zen Server. These are the most advanced virtualization softwares. Coming to the point of classification of virtualization, so types of virtualizations. Basically, we have 5 different types of virtualization. We have server virtualization, we have storage virtualization, we have network virtualization, we have application virtualization, and desktop virtualization. Now let us make the comparison between all these virtualization technologies. The first one, that is server virtualization. This server virtualization, what is actually the basic evolution of server virtualization? Why the server virtualization has been evoluted? Basically, first, this server virtualization, it is used for testing and developing environment. That is the first stage where we use the server virtualization. Basically, it is used in test and development. And the second stage, that is in the production environment, where we are going to use for the server consolidation. And the third stage where you use server virtualization, that is for to provide infrastructure on demand. And the fourth one, that is for the data center automation. And the fifth one, finally for your cloud computing technologies. So that these are the 5 stages why we use the server virtualization technologies. There is the first one where you are going to go with the test and development environment, then with the server consolidation, the production environment, then for to provide infrastructure on demand, and for the automation of your data center, and to get to the cloud computing. So these are the 5 stages which you are going to evaluate in your server virtualization. Now let us consider a simple example. We have a data center with the different servers, like we have web server, we have a file server, DHCP, some domains, and it may be Windows, Linux, Solaris, FTP server, database server, Linux, email, Exchange, IaaS, backup, media. So these are all the servers which are present in your data center. Now all these physical servers, using the server virtualization, you can consolidate it into your pure virtual servers. That's a basic advantage of server virtualization. All these the physical servers which are migrated only onto 1 or 2 pieces, on 1 or 2 few virtual servers. So due to this, your IT business benefits are gained from the consolidation. And for this consolidation, for the server virtualization, we use softwares such as Vmware, ESX, ESXi. The ESX was till up to the VMware 4, and later on only we have only one thing, that is ESXi. And then you have Microsoft Hyper-V and Citrix Zen. It's a product of Citrix for server virtualization. And coming to the point of storage virtualization. Yeah, can you virtualize the storage? Yes, we can virtualize storage where you are bringing your multiple physical storages to one virtual pool of common storage. On your network, you have a number of physical storages. All these physical storages you are bringing back into one virtual pool of a common storage, so that what benefits you are going to get, where it removes the physical mapping and it moves the storage units into logical units. It removes the physical mapping and it moves storage unit into logical units. It divides into logical units. And these logical units are the virtual objects. They can be easily managed. These units can be easily managed when compared to the physical mapping. They can be easily manageable. That reduces the cost of the storage, and we can maximum utilize the storage. And this is also useful for the easy migration of the data. And for example, whenever you want to move your data from one storage area network to another storage area network, it is only possible when storage virtualization is applied. If not, you can also migrate the data, but it is somewhat difficulty. Whereas if you virtualize your storage, it is very easy to migrate your data from one side to another side. And due to this storage virtualization, you don't have a downtime to your server. You have a high availability of server. And what are the basic benefits of using the storage virtualization? Non-destructive data migration. Your data will be never lost. And the storage management will be very, very easy. It's a very simplified storage management. And you can have increase in the storage utilization. The maximum use you can increase the storage maximum. And you can migrate your data or consolidate your data using the streaming technologies. So that's all about the storage virtualization. And the third one, that is, you have network virtualization. What we call it VLAN, virtual LANs, where here physical enterprise, they are segregated into small virtual networks, so that they can be easily managed. You have a data center where you have a very big enterprise routers, hubs. So in order to maintain all these things, the management will be somewhat difficulty. Whereas if all these components, all this enterprise network, if it is segregated into small virtual networks, they can be managed easily. They can be managed very, very easily. And this network virtualization, basically we have two categories. Internal network virtualization, and then you have external network virtualization. In internal network virtualization, the network functionality is provided by software, such as the switching, routing, firewall. Everything is taken care of by the software. That what we call it as internal network virtualization. Whereas if you go for external network virtualization, where it uses some external component and it provides multiple network functions in one unit. And the best example is what a Cisco. You have a Cisco device, a Cisco switch which provides VLAN capabilities, or a VM which is running on a Cisco switch. It is the best example of what external network virtualization. So that makes the difference. That is the difference between internal network virtualization and external network virtualization. And coming to the point of application virtualization. Here, virtualization of application, where you are going to have able to run your application which is loaded on one system. It can be able to run on another system without actually installing them. You don't need to install on all the systems. You are going to install on one system using this virtualization application virtualization technology. You are able to run on the other system. Not only that, it allows your applications without any conflicts using the technology via streaming technology. For example, let us say you have installed your Outlook 2003 in your system. Now you want to use Outlook 2007. Now once, if you make the installation of Outlook 2007, yeah, you will get a message whether to upgrade 2003. It means you have to upgrade your 2003 to 2007, and then you can use only 2007. But now I want to use both the things parallelly. I want to use Outlook 2003 and Outlook 2007. Normally it is not possible. Whereas if at all you are using this application virtualization, you can use both the things at the same time. That is Outlook 2003, 2007 at the same time. The examples of application virtualization softwares are that Vmware TinApp and ZenApp. And next comes to the point of desktop virtualization. It is also called as VDI, Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. Here all your desktops in your network environment, in your infrastructure, they are consolidated into your virtualized server systems. And the best examples of desktop virtualizations are where we use software such as VMware, View, Citrix, ZenTop for virtualizing of your desktops in your environment. What makes server virtualization so appealing in any organization? Why they prefer for the virtualization technologies? Why they want this virtualization technologies? So these are some of the aspects why they prefer to have a virtualization technologies. First one, there is a very fewer servers when compared to the existing environment, and less infrastructure is needed. Very less network switches, less hubs, less routers, less management staff is needed, and easy of administration, and less energy is required, and the speedy response to the business needs. Whatever the business needs, whatever the requirements you are coming to your infrastructure, you can implement very fastly, and you have an increased availability of the server. That is, you don't find no downtime. You have easier disaster recovery solutions, and it makes us the lower overall cost. So these are some more points why we use this virtualization technologies in any organization. Now, how server virtualization helps in different environments. We have different environments. Now let us consider a simple example. Let us, if we go for a production environment, in the production environment that we use for the virtualization or the consolidation of servers and desktops, so that makes more efficient use of the hardware in the environment, that enhances the IT staff productivity, and we can utilize the features such as high availability and load balancing. Whereas if we go for a testing and development environment, we can use features such as point-in-time snapshot. That is, when you test something, if it goes wrong, you can roll back it very easily. You can have a network isolation. You can have different appliances. You can download different appliances. You can make the testing. If anything goes wrong, just you can roll back it. So these are some of the environments where we use our virtualization technologies. Now, coming to what is actually VMware vSphere? What is vSphere? What is VMware vSphere? The VMware vSphere, it is the most advanced virtualization platform available in the market. We have several other virtualization platforms like Microsoft Hyper-V, Citrix, but basically when we compare in the virtualization technologies, most of the advanced features are available with virtualization, available with what a VMware vSphere. And basically it is a server virtualization. It means it virtualizes all your physical servers in your environment to virtual servers. That saves money to your company. And it is a beginning, it is a foundation for the cloud computing, where you are going to, it is a basic foundation for constructing of your cloud computing. It makes IT administration very cool, and where you can utilize the maximum resources, and there is no wastage of resources in your environment. And what we cover in this course, what are the course contents, what you are going to deal with in the course, where we are going to deal with the overview of VMware vSphere 5. Then we are going to deal with installation of VMware ESXi. Then we are going to deal with installing vCenter server. And then we are going to deal with installing vCenter as a Linux appliance. Then you are going to deal with working with the vSphere web client. Then you are going to deal with navigating using vSphere client. Then configuring of your new virtual infrastructure, and working with creating virtual machines, modifying virtual machines, deleting virtual machines, then installing and configuring VMware tools, and working with tasks, events, alarms, using user-defined, system-defined tasks, using system events and customized events, alarms, triggerings, and then administrating VMware ESXi server security, how you are going to secure your ESXi server, and about the vSphere virtual networking, where you are going to deal with Vnix virtual network cards, virtual switches, and also we are going to work with virtual distributed switches, And one of the most powerful features of the VMware vSphere is that is working with vMotion, where you are going to work with the moving of virtual machines from one host to another host. And then you are going to work with SVMotion, where you are going to work with moving of your storages in your environment. And then you are going to work with the performance optimization with the DRS, distributed resource scheduler, where you can optimize your complete environment, where you can increase the performance. And implementation of HA high availability, no downtime in your environment. And then you are going to work with the super high availability with VMware using the FT, fault tolerant. It is one of the best disaster recovery solution. And then work upgrading from vSphere 4 to vSphere 5 or vSphere 3 to vSphere 5 from the existing infrastructure. Then working with CLI, command line interface of vSphere. And then you work with storage DRS. And one of the most beautiful topics, that is the policy driven storages. Then you are going to work with VMware data recovery, where we of the backup VMs and how to recovery the VMs using third party and as well as appliances, and putting the firewall in your virtual infrastructure and configuring the firewall in your virtual infrastructure, and working with the quality of services, storage IO services and network IO services, and troubleshooting of your virtual environment, and working with vCenter Operations Manager, and some of other topics like configuring, working with vSphere storage, backup and recovery, hot plug, hot add, cluster, data store, data center, the components of virtual infrastructure, that you are going to define all the components, and what are the different products of VMware you are going to use, and the sorting and filtering and searching the components in your virtual infrastructure, exporting of the data, getting lot of reports, storage terminology, snapshots, working with the snapshots, licensing the environment, that is where you are going to license per server, per socket, per core, all those things. And the patches, working with the patch management, updating patches, installing the patches. And the VMware complete architecture, how the VMware architecture has been designed. And working with, dealing with virtual infrastructure designing. So these are, and many more some other topics. These are some of the topics what they deal in our course session. Now, basically all this virtualization technologies, let us consider some example and try to look at some business challenges in the current market. Why we use these virtualization technologies? Looking at the trend, the data is growing very exponentially. The data is growing from the past decade. Around 62% average nowadays we are getting some petabytes of information. So that mandates to reduce our operational expenditure and the capital expenditure. So we are going to migrate. To virtualization technologies. And in our environment, either the hardware is underutilizing or overutilizing. So in order to overcome this, we are using the virtualization technologies. And let's come to reducing power consumption. Go green. Wherever you go with the concept of go green. And faster response to the business challenges. Whatever the business challenges is there, you have to give the immediate response. And where you can deal with the multiple data centers using this virtualization technology. And so basically,
hello.
And basically,
Hello?
virtualization is not an option in your environment. It is a requirement. It is a requirement in the environment. So that's all about just the fundamental session of virtualization. What is virtualization? And the course contents of the VMware.
Hi, sir. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
How long did you start? I know it was 9 a.m., but by 9 p.m. How long did you start?
Yeah,
This
I
meeting.
have started in 8:30.
8:30? No, sorry.
Yeah.
8:30 Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah, it's Indian Standard Time.
8:30.
Yeah. We can go with any queries.
No, how long ago? Was 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
No, I have started at 8:30 somewhere. Indian Standard
IST,
Time.
right? IST.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Neil. It was started around 9 p.m. EST only. For us, I am in Pacific Standard Time. It's around 6 p.m. PST.
Oh, okay. And so he has been there for 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's almost around 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay.